Then Robin stepped quickly to the cover side and cut a good shaft of ground oak, straight without new and 6 feet in length, and came back trimming away the tender stems from it, while the stranger waited for him, leaning up on his staff and whistling as he gazed round about. Robin observed him furtively as he trimmed his staff, measuring him from top to toe from out the corner of his eye, and thought that he had never seen a lustier or a stouter man. Tall was Robin, but taller was the stranger by a head and a neck, for he was 7 feet in height. Broad was Robin across the shoulders, but broader was the stranger by twice the breadth of a palm, while he measured at least an ell around the waist. Nevertheless, said Robin to himself, I will baste it right merrily, my good fellow. Then aloud, Lo, here is my good stuff, lusty and thought. Now wait my coming, and thou darest and meet me on thou fearest not. Then we will fight until one or the other of us tumble into the stream by dint of blows. Marry, that meeteth my whole head, cried the stranger, twirling his staff above his head betwixt his fingers and thumbs until it whistled again. Never did the knight of King Arthur's round table met in stouter fight than did these two. In a moment Robin stepped quickly up on the bridge where the stranger stood. First he made a feint, and then delivered a blow at the stranger's head, that he had it met its mark, would he tumbled him speedily into the water. But the stranger turned the bow right deftly, and in return gave one as stout, which Robin also turned as the stranger had done. So they stood, each in his place, neither moving a finger's breadth back, for one good hour, and many blows were given and received by each in that time, till here and there were sore bones and bumps, yet neither though of crying enough, nor seemed likely to fall from off the bridge. None now and then they stopped to rest, and each thought that he never had seen in his life before such a hand at quarter-staff. At least Robin gave the stranger of a blow up on the ribs that made his jacket smoke like a damp straw thatch in the sun. So sweet was the stroke that the stranger came within a hair's breadth of falling off the bridge, but he regained himself right quickly, and by a dexterous blow gave Robin a crack on the crown that caused the blood to flow. Then Robin grew mad with anger and smote with all his might at the other, but the stranger warned the bow, and once again frackled Robin, and this time was fairly that he fell heels over head into the water as the queen pin falls in a game of blows. Both. And where art thou now, my good lad? Shouted the stranger, roaring with laughter. Oh, in the floods, and flooding down with the tide, cried Robin, nor could he forbear laughter himself at his story plight. Then, gaining his feet, he vaulted to the bank, the little fish speeding hither and thither, all frightened at his splashing. Give me thy hand, cried he, when he had reached the bank. I must need own thou art a brave and a sturdy soul, and withal a good stout stroke with the cutlass. By this and by that, my head hummed like to a heap of bees on a hot June day. Then he clapped his horn to his lips and winded a blast that went echoing sweetly down the forest's paths. "Eh, Mary," quoth he again, "thou art a tall lad, and eke a brave one, nor nearer I bow. Is there a man between here and Canterbury town would do the like to me that thou hast done?" "And so," quoth the stranger laughing, "sharkest thy cuddling like a brave heart and a stout yeoman. But now the dentist twines and branches rustled with the coming of man, and suddenly a score of two of good stout yeomen, all clad in Lincoln green, burst from out the cover with merry Will Studley at their head. "Good master," cried Will, "how is this? Thou art all wet from head to toe, and that to the very skin." "Why, Mary," answered jolly Robin, "yon stout fellow has tumbled me neck and crop into the waters, and has give me a jumbling beside." "Then shall he not go without a ducking and a drubbing himself," cried Will Studley. "Have at him, lads." Then Will and a score of yeomen leaped upon the stranger, but though they sprung quickly, they found him ready and felt him strike right and left with sound of staff, so that, though he went down with press of number, some of them rubbed cracked crowns before he had overcome. "Nay, forbade," cried Robin, laughing until his sore sides ached again. "He is a right good man and true, and no harm shall befall him. Know ye, good youth, will thou stay with me and be one of my band? 3 suits of Lincoln green shalt thou have each year, besides 40 marks in fee, and share with us whomsoever good shall befall us. Thou shalt eat sweet versions and quaff the saltest ale, and mine own good right hand man shalt thou be, for never did I see such a cludded player in my whole life before. Speak, wilt thou be one of my good merry men?" "Thou know I am not," quoth the stranger sturdily, for he was angry at being so tumbled about. "If ye handled ye bow and apple shaft no better than ye do oaken cudgel, I wot ye are not fit to be called yeoman in my country, but if there be any man here that can shoot a better shaft than I, then I will bethink me of joining with you." "Now, by my faith," said Robin, "thou art a right saucy fellow, sir hey, yet I will stoop to thee as I never stooped to man before. Good Studley, cut thou a fair white piece of bark, 4 fingers in breadth, and set it 80 yards distant on yonder york. Now, stranger, hit that fairly with a great goose shaft, and call thyself an archer." "Ay, marry, that will I," answered he. "Give me a good stout bow and a fair barreled arrow, and if I hit it not, strip me and beat me blue with bow strines." Then he chose to shout his bow among them all, next to Robin's own, and a straight grey goose shaft, well feathered and smoothed and stepping to the mark. While all the arrow to his cheek, and while all the band sitting or lying upon the green sward watched to see him shoot, he drew the arrow to his cheek and loosened the shaft right deftly, sending it straight down to the path that it clove the mark in the very centre. "Aha!" cried he, "mend thou that if thou canst," while even the yeomen clapped their hands at so fair a shot. That is a keen shot indeed, quoth Robin. Mend it I cannot, but mar it I may, perhaps. Then taking upon his own good stout bow, and nocking an arrow with care, he shot with his very greatest skill. Straight flew the arrow, and so true that it lit fairly up on the stranger's shaft and split it into splitters. Then all the yeomen leaped to their feet and shouted for joy, and their master had shot so well. Now, by the lasty yew bow of Saint Withold, cried the stranger, that is a shot indeed, and never saw I the like in my whole life before. Now truly will I be thy man, henceforth and for aye. Good Adam Bell was a fair shoot, but never shot so well he. Adam Bell, Clem o' the Cloud, and William of Cloudsley was the north country bowman whose name have been celebrated in many ballads of the old time. Then have I gained a right good man this day, quoth jolly Robin. What names goest thou by, good fellow? Men call me John Lill, whence hence I come, answered the stranger. Then Will Startley, who laughed a good jest, spoke up. Nay, fair little stranger, said he, I like though not thy name, and fain would I have it otherwise. Little art thou indeed, and small of bone and sineth. Therefore shalt thou be christened Little John, and I will be thy good father. Then Robin Hood and all his band laughed aloud until the stranger began to grow angry.